You might ask, why would a tech company like Armour be interested in user experience? One of the key tenets of good cybersecurity, according to the National Cybersecurity Centre, is that it has to be usable. If systems are too clunky for users to adopt because they know a quicker and easier way to work, then they're more or less worthless, which means user experience is very important and something we take very seriously here at Armour. Today we're here with product designer Daniel Hermoso, who will explain exactly what we mean by user experience and why it's a key component when designing and building new products that will truly engage users. First of all, Daniel, customer experience is a term that we see all the time, but user experience less so. Can you explain what we mean by user experience?
Of course. Well, user experience, or UX for short, essentially encompasses all aspects of the user's interaction with a company, its services, and all of its products. And essentially, it can be the design of anything really, independent of medium, user interface, products, services, and it can range from things like websites to digital apps. It can be, I guess both physical and digital services that we use every day. And essentially, whether by design or by default, every product or service that we interact with or use every day delivers an experience to our users and our customers. And part of this is also how this experience makes people feel. And typically, UX is used to measure and evaluate what that experience looks like across all the multiple touch points in a user journey. So for example, if we take an online shop, it's the first moment people come to visit your website and they get first impressions, and or perhaps where the first time someone downloads the application to the moment they create an account or add an item to the cart and essentially start a checkout process, adding their payment information, getting a confirmation of purchase, getting a receipt, to finally, receiving their item and going beyond to using the product and the support that they find throughout all of these multiple touch points. There is definitely different user experience throughout all of that process. And we can measure that. We can see, how each of those points make our users feel and our customers feel. And I think we've all, I'm sure, at some point have experienced different examples of what a good experience or a bad user experience looks like. I think we often have a double-edged relationship with the products and services that we use every day. I think one very memorable experience for me was trying to book a visa before I was about to get on a flight. And obviously, it was my error not checking that I needed the visa to get on this flight. But the process was so complicated and so frustrating that I ended up having to miss my flight to get on, on the plane. And I think this is part of, measuring that user experience of actually the context and the way that our customers and users use our products, that we need to take into account and understand that, not all of them are, currently, like many of us, at home, but that actually they're using our products in the real world. And essentially, every user experience has the ability to either delight us or empower us to do our jobs better, and essentially can get frustrated, or essentially we can encounter pain points when they fail to meet our needs, and they have the ability to complicate or simplify our lives.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. That does explains it really well. So what are the main elements that make up a good user experience, and what does a vendor need to think about?
Hmm. Well, as I mentioned, UX is used to measure what an experience looks like and also what we're delivering to our users and customers. So in order to deliver a good experience, we need to understand how our products are being perceived and are used by our specific user base or all of our user base. And essentially, we can do this by taking a closer look at usability, how easy it is to use the product, how easy it is, for users to adopt and become familiar with a particular product, and the perception of the value that they have of it, and how efficient it is in performing tasks and so forth. And essentially, it's about asking the right questions. It's about asking, who are we designing for, what problems we're trying to solve, and really taking the time to understand who those users are, their behaviors, what they're trying to achieve, what their goals are, what their needs and wants are, and then essentially trying to distill those insights and essentially start asking the question about how our products might be able to solve those needs and wants. And that really means putting people right at the heart of every design decision that we make.
Okay, thank you for that. So you mentioned there was a hierarchy of user needs. Could you explain what these are and how they all work together?
Yes, of course. So Aaron Walters, in his book Designing for Emotion, describes a hierarchy of user needs that closely mirrors Maslow's hierarchy. And in it, he outlines that in order for us to achieve superior needs such as delight or pleasure, other more foundational needs need to be achieved, which are functionality, reliability, usability. And essentially, when people think about well-designed products, usually or typically people think about the aesthetics of that product. Is the product pleasing to look at? Does it make me feel good? Is it good to the touch? And there's a perception to that. And yet designing products with user experience in mind means that the explicit outcome is looking beyond those aesthetics. And really, it starts with, the core need, which is functional, and starting to think about, does it solve a problem for us? And essentially, a beautiful product that fails to meet its basic user needs is not valuable. And often this is neglected and can cause so many problems to product teams when they invest a lot of time and effort in building something that nobody wants to use. And yeah, and that can be really frustrating. But then also, is the product reliable? It really needs to enable our customers to build trust, and our users to build trust in the services and products that we deliver. Because if the service or product is not delivering well or not performing well, we constantly do it. If something's not really getting the job done for us or not achieving the goal of what we're trying to use, people are looking for alternative solutions, for that need or that want to be met. And yeah, and it's really important to treat those first impressions and obviously those ongoing impressions, because we need to gain trust with our customers and essentially improve that user engagement and build trust with them over time. Thirdly, usability is really key because it addresses how easy our products are to use, and it aims to remove all barriers that prevent efficient human and computer interactions. And essentially, we like to call it friction, so that there's no friction and the experience is frictionless. And essentially, that the products that we design or the service that we design, they need to be really easy to learn. They need to be easy to use and easy to remember. In highly competitive market, it's no longer enough to design products that simply meet basic utility needs. So this is the last one where pleasurable products come in, and what we would call delight, and it's really critical to design a purposeful and memorable experience, because essentially it goes far beyond giving customers what they say they want, or just providing a checklist of features that they've asked for. And a clear example is Apple, for example. They've created a wonderful ecosystem of products that talk to each other, and not only they work in their own right and function to the features that they deliver, but they also interact seamlessly across each other and provide different services. Also, in order to achieve a high quality user experience, I guess this is where there needs to be a seamless merge of these multiple disciplines. And that goes beyond just think about design. I think that brings other departments in, which includes engineering, which includes marketing, and then different types of design, such as graphical, industrial, and interface design. They all really need to come together to deliver a great experience. And yeah, and I would say that a great experience really means interactions that seamlessly cross those boundaries across multiple channels, and essentially there's no divisions or friction. Another great example that I think delivers a wonderful experience is Netflix. When you use Netflix across multiple devices, you get an experience that's tailored to that device, but you get the same experience. You can pick up where you left off, and it's really easy to almost hand off to different devices and continue your experience regardless on what device you are operating in. And and I would say that, all of these, core foundations are really important in terms of function, reliability, and usability, because only until these are achieved, a delightful experience can actually be pursued and be delivered.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that. And finally, how can you tell us a bit about how Armour's incorporating this into their products?
Yes. So we've been working hard as a team to shift our processes into introducing something we call UCD, which stands for User-Centered Design, into the products that we design and that we build. And this means incorporating core design principles and processes into the way that we work. And we use some familiar methodologies from IDEO's design thinking, which essentially seeks to put people as the focus and center of everything that we do. And there are five kind of steps to this methodology, which is empathy, definition, ideation, prototyping, and testing. And each of these are, really core and lean on each other, but essentially empathy is making sure we take time to learn as much as we can, to learn about our users and learn about their behaviors, learn about their needs. And that comes with, looking at user research and observation and taking time to do that. Also, definition, it's about once we've gathered all that user research and not only started, but continue, it's a continual process to learn about our users, to create a point of view that is based on those user needs, those insights, and essentially create hypotheses about assumptions that we may have in terms of how they're using our products. And essentially, we can test those and measure them to see if they're true, and how we can address or start to create some design solutions. And this is where ideation comes in. It means coming up with as many ideas and concepts as possible to explore the design or problem space. And that essentially enables us to be nimble, to be agile, to work very quickly and provide solutions without committing to code. And we can do that by prototyping. We can essentially put together prototypes that look sometimes like the real thing, and they enable us to collect feedback, sometimes very early and very often, as often as possible, as often as we might need. And it allows us to test our solutions before that development process begins. They can be, really rough, or actually they can be highly detailed. And then thinking about testing, because testing, we have, short cycles of testing that we use to constantly just check in and see, whether our products are achieving, those needs, those wants, those goals. And we improve, we iterate, we understand, how easy is the solution for our users? Do they understand the flows that have been designed? What worked, what didn't, where are they finding some frustrations, and where are they finding some problems? So I think that's something that we've been looking to implement. And also in terms of design principles, I guess it just really goes back to remembering that we need to be human-centered. We need to focus on the people. I think too often we, in a development team or in a product team, we get too focused on the work itself and forget that, there are real people using our products. And that means really taking a closer look at every step of the journey. It means mapping out what our experience looks like and identifying areas that we can improve holistically as a product and as a team. And there's a well-known phrase in UX coined by Steve Krug, who wrote a book called Don't Make Me Think, and is essentially a common sense approach to usability, where any product should be simple and easy to use. It means removing any steep learning curves and also simplifying steps to rearrange functionality that essentially makes our products easier to use. And it should be self-explanatory. Actually, I think it was Elon Musk that said any product that needs a manual to work is essentially broken. And I love this approach because we should adapt this into our products, because it should be a show and not tell approach. Often, our users' time is so crucial and so key that, we need to reduce almost that time for them to make decisions and guide them through a simple user journey where, we can reduce the time that they need to go find something out or learn how something works, and essentially provide a solution that are really easy to adopt. Actually, in the book, one of the examples that I love that Steve talks about is the example of the supermarket. And we've all done this. Whenever we visit a supermarket, well, I guess especially if it's our local supermarket, we have a mental model of, items that we're looking to find. And, I guess by, the default that we come there very often, we know where each of those items are placed. However, when you go to a different supermarket, perhaps in a different, place or a different location, you still try to use that same mental model of where items have been located and where they have been placed. And, whether we acknowledge it, most of the time, I'm sure it happens subconsciously, we're constantly running a decision tree in our head to find that specific product. And we're asking questions, sometimes it happens so fast, but, is the product within this particular section? And obviously, supermarkets have placed, within each aisle, certain labels that signpost us to those products. But then often we might get frustrated and we might not find that product. And that's when, we either ask the question, do we want to receive support? Do we want to get help from, a customer assistant? Or too often maybe, we get frustrated and not actually go and ask for help. And I think I love that example because it should be the same for software and for digital products, because if we're not providing signposts for our users to know how to find the solution or those particular products, and also making it easy for them to reach support, I think we're essentially creating barriers for them to adopt our products, and also help them to build trust with us, and help them to design products that are intuitive and that are familiar. Just like the example of visiting a different supermarket, there are so many design principles and patterns that have already, been used across so many other products. And I think sometimes it means asking the question, are we trying to reinvent the wheel? And actually just really putting, a design or a solution in front of users and knowing that often whilst we're trying to innovate, maybe we're trying to complicate something that a user is really familiar and that is so, second nature to them. And it's trying to just, again, making that design solution just really easy and simple to adopt. And lastly, I think at Armour, we've been trying to think of everything as a holistic system. I think every part of our product and service is important and delivers an experience, whether we like it or not. And it's important to have a wider vision to know that everything is connected. And actually, yeah, I'll say, user experience isn't the most important component. It's a crucial part. It's an ingredient that's really key to delivering, again, customer experience, but also user experience. But I think our responsibility as a team is to really be, customer focused and remember that there is a world beyond our screens. And I guess until we spend the time with our users, learning about them, learning about how they interact with our products, we won't discover, some of those real issues, those real contexts that they're experiencing. And often, we can work with assumptions, and that really means, going deeper, going beyond, and learning, how and why they use our products, and asking, the hard and deeper questions of actually how might we be able to serve them better, and how might we be able to improve the services that we deliver to them. And I think that's been really great to to talk with different members of the team about that. It's all of our responsibilities. It's not just the user research team that is focused on doing this, or the design function, but actually all of us interact with our customers, and at some point we all might come across specific feedback that is really important to incorporate into improving our services, and really trying to understand and create almost a common pool of knowledge where we identify those needs, those wants, and really sew them into the fabric and mesh that we're building here at Armour.
Okay, thank you. That's certainly food for thought. It's great to see a security company also looking at user experience, which is quite a leading edge approach. So thank you very much for those insights, Daniel.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.